Welcome to another episode of Jeremy Did It. This video is going to be a little bit different. For some of you, I know for all my subscribers that I do have out there, which I am currently sitting at 99 anyway, I know a lot of my subscribers are used to seeing my camping videos or my trips out to the Caribbean videos, where I have been sent out into the Caribbean for work, where I do some travel videos, places where we eat, and this is when I go snorkeling out there. And then I do the videos that I have from when we're camping. This time I have done a few modifications. So the first modification that I've done is to add a cigarette lighter plug-in with two USB plug-ins, and I put that over there underneath my bed. I put that in there because I unfortunately had been diagnosed with sleep apnea, like a whole lot of the world have been. So I had to sleep with a CPAP machine. Well, having to sleep with a CPAP machine when you're out boondocking somewhere camping and you don't have any way to power your CPAP because you don't have any power, so that's why I put in a 12-volt outlet. I bought the 12-volt adapter plug that will power up and run my CPAP off the cigarette lighter type plug-in. Previously, what I had been doing was unplugging the TV, because our TV is a 12-volt plug TV that runs off of it's actually plugged into a cigarette lighter outlet. So what I would do is I bought this cord that would stretch across the camper, basically like an extension cord, but for cigarette lighter adapters. So I would plug that in to where the TV plug is. Obviously unplug the TV, plug this in, run the cord along over to close to by my bed, and then plug my CPAP machine into that, and I would use that to power my CPAP and sleep. Well, that gets kind of old. It gets old because you have to run another cable, you have to take it down every day, or it's going to be in the way or whatnot. So that's why I decided to go ahead and just add another 12-volt outlet. Now, some people that I have seen in this camper, which is the Rockwood GeoPro 15TB, I've seen where other people have run 12-volt outlets in their camper, and they start over by the door where there is a 12-volt output already, and then they'll run it down underneath through the cabinet, underneath the bed, which is also storage, around the back side, and then over to the other side, and they'll put a 12-volt outlet over there also. I have found that there's no need to do that route. There's a much shorter route to do that with, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And that shorter route is tap off the power supply that's already right there underneath the driver's side bed. That's where all your fuses are. That's where your main power kind of comes into, and it gets distributed out everywhere else. Well, there's also 12 volts right there. That's where your water pump is at, which is 12 volts. So what I did was figure out which circuit powers what. I used the same circuit that's running the cigarette lighter plug over there by the TV. It runs the stereo, it runs a few other things. I'll put a picture of the fuse box diagram up right in here. Anyway, so it's very easy to tap off right there. And plus they've already got the Wago connectors there, so all you have to do is add to it, as you can see here. So what I did was decide exactly where I wanted it to go. I marked it. I drilled the 4 holes so that I could just cut out the square for where the outlet's going to go. I found that I started cutting it by hand with a jigsaw blade, and then I had to trim it up a little bit. So then I found that it would be a lot easier to just go ahead and cut it with a razor knife, because that stuff is so thin. So I used the razor knife to trim it out the rest of the way and make it the hole actually big enough to fit the little 12-volt outlet. So once I finished with that, I went ahead and mounted it in place, and then I ran my wires. So if you look at the back of that little fuse box panel, it tells you what circuit is what. So basically I just tapped off of the circuit that went to the TV, some lights, the stereo, I think the bathroom fan, and a couple other little things, some other low voltage things, 12 volt, which would stay constant all the time, because that's what you need with a CPAP, is you need that constant voltage for all night. So I end up just running some 12 gauge wire, splicing it into that same spot. It already has a Wago connector that has an extra spot on it. I tapped into that for the DC positive, and then I found there's a DC bus bar in there also, and I tapped the negative for the DC bus bar to it that's tied into all the other negatives. Now, because this camper was kind of put together so crappy, which it is a 2022 model, I think a lot of corners were cut. The little DC bus connector was kind of shoddy in how it was mounted, so I moved it over and remounted it. It was only mounted with one screw. I went ahead and used 2 screws after I moved it and remounted it. I used a couple other Wago connectors to connect the power the rest of the way with my 12 gauge wire over to the outlet. Plugged them into the lever nut connectors. Some people call them lever nuts. The brand name is Wago, and they're just lever nut connectors. They work well. That's what I use to connect the power. These connectors that I bought at the local Home Depot, you can buy anywhere like Amazon or whatever, but they're the same connectors that are actually already in the camper. I did buy some 3-wire termination ones, so that way if I wanted to, I could tap off the existing ones that I just put in, run it around underneath this table, and then put another outlet, 12 volt or USB, over here underneath the other bed where my wife sleeps at. So we are a little bit of a mess right now, but just to show you that the outlet has 2 USB ports on it, and here is a plug. And I'll go ahead and plug my work phone into it. And there it goes. Power's up and it's charging. A lot easier to come off of your 12 volts power supply right there than it is to run from here. See, a lot of people are running from here because you've got your 12 volt up here on the TV, you've got it coming down here for another power supply or for another USB, but they're coming from here, running all the way across underneath this bed, across there, and then over to here, when you can do it from right here. There is a document that shows you exactly which circuit is which and what it controls. And on the back of the fuse box, it tells you a circuit number. So all you have to do is use the circuit number, look at this other page that tells you what the circuit is, and that way you'll know which circuit to tap off. I hope that helps. Now the only thing I have left to do is put the camper back together.